Thank you very much for coming today. My name is Dolores Greenwald. I'm the director of the Williamson County Public Library and also a member of Sister Cities. Welcome to Colombia today. Thank you so much for coming. And now I'm going to introduce to you Patricia.
Hello, I'm Patricia Kriebel, and I'm the president of Sister Cities of Franklin and Williamson County. I would like to recognize everyone here that is currently serving on our board. If you, Doug, Mike, raise your hands, and Sharon is outside. I'm very excited about today's presentation because it actually is a country I haven't been to. So, and that's a pretty big deal if y'all know me, but I wanted to start out by thanking the facilitator of this actual programming and who is also working with us on the November presentation, which also will be here on a Sunday afternoon, and it will be Peru. We do have some other countries in the background. We're not just doing South America, but we've been approached by people from Russia, Russia, Israel, and another country's in the works. I can't think of it right now. So that's every other month. The next one is November. But we have a huge celebration coming up in October I wanted you to know about. First of all, I would love for you to all go to sistercitiestn.org. sistercitiestn.org. I'd love for you to join our membership. It's only $20, and then you will get all of the information coming to you about all of our events. So we very much would love to have you supporting our organization. Now, October the 4th begins an international week, of which many of you in here are going to be a part of, and we're very excited about that. The first night of October the 4th is going to be a special entertainment from Maura O'Connell, who's a well-known Irish singer. It'll be at the Downtown Franklin Theater, who is partnering with us. And then throughout the entire week, the restaurants downtown Franklin will be having international specialties on their menus. I don't know what they're doing, so just come out and support the whole week. Then on Saturday, beginning at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 p.m. at night, we are having our Celebration of Nations celebration festival. And that is going to be a day of 20 to 30 vendors all out there presenting, many in the costumes of their country. Celebration of Nations, yeah. And we're having entertainment on 2 stages throughout the day from 3 to 8. And from 5 to 8, we're having an international beer tasting. We'll have over 10 countries represented and 20 different beers to taste for only $25. And you can, at the same website, sistercitiestn.org, you can purchase your tickets online, which we highly encourage you to do, because there's only a limited number that we'll be selling. We're very excited, but right now we're excited about Colombia. I would like to thank Cecilia Romy for all the work she's done on this. And she will give you the layout of what to expect today.
Thank you, Patricia. First of all, I wanted to thank you for being here and keeping our company and celebrating Colombia. And I wanted to thank all the people that have been involved. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to have this beautiful presentation. The way it's going to be is the first hour, we're going to listen to Pablo and his musicians, to some of the Colombian music. We will have some delicious food and juices. And also we will check the exhibit that we have. All this has been able to come together. Thank you to Pilar Arrieta. Let's give her a big clap. along with her husband, that we're very glad to have him. He is a local artist, Jorge Janses. He has done many presentations in town about Cartagena memories. And also, we do want to thank you, our presenter of the PowerPoint, William Ignacio Estupinan, if I pronounce it correctly, along with his wife, Ana Maria Sarasti, who had an emergency today and was not able to come and join us. Also, my daughter, Suzanne Scraba, and my granddaughter, Marina Scraba, and Beatriz Cole. All of them are from Colombia, or like my daughter, has half Colombian, and my granddaughter, 1/4. But again, join us. Colombia is one of the happiest countries in the world, and you will see why.
Exclusively Colombian music, of course, for the occasion. I just want to point out that we have a very diverse country in terms of musical heritage, with the influence of the Spanish people, mainly in the melodies, and the rhythms with the influence of the Indian and African roots. So all of the music you have been listening is in that combination, 3 different styles. So we started with music from plain areas of Colombia, Los Llanos. We play the joropo, that is all the music can be danceable, it's a dance. Then we play a bambuco, probably the most typical of the rhythms. And then with the abundance. Now we're going to continue with, let's see, this is a rhythm also from the mountains that is a combination of 3 and 6/8. So you will hear like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This rhythm is called caña.
Muchas gracias. Vamos a hablar en inglés y en español por un segundo. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Ahora vamos a tener a Ignacio que va a hacer la presentación. Thank you so much for everybody being here. Ignacio is going to do a presentation on Colombia, and we were going to have the national anthems of United States and Colombia, but due to technical issues, and that's what we were trying to fix, but we were not able to. So even though it's in the program, we're just going to pass through for this time. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is a great opportunity for the Colombian community here in the United States, in particular here in Franklin City, that we learn to love so much. I believe that all of you share with me that feeling and that passion for this city and for this country. We found that this event was a great opportunity for us to share with you all what Colombia really is. We believe that Colombia is a myth in the positive and in the negative. But the reality is that there is a country that it has been there for 11,000 years, and we are all not familiar with that. We took this opportunity to share what Colombia really is. So we are going to talk about history, our people, and our culture. It's a little bit extended this presentation. I'm going to try to summarize as much as possible. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can interrupt. And let's start. Colombia is located in the northwest corner of South America, close to the equator. The borders are on the west, Panama, on the north, on the west, the Pacific Ocean, on the north, the Caribbean Sea and the Caribbean Islands, for the east, Venezuela and Brazil, in the south, Ecuador, Peru, and the Amazon River. But there is also part of Colombia, San Andres and Providence Islands. These little islands you can see in the map, are really close to the beaches of Nicaragua. But this has a historical reason. Since 1822, when Colombia was part of the Gran Colombia, Bolivar and his troops and all his people, they controlled all that region from Nicaragua. And that's the reason why the islands of San Andres and Providence, being so close to Nicaragua, actually belongs to Colombia still today. Now, there is a dispute now in Nicaragua in terms of the international waters, but that's another point. The islands remain being Colombian. A brief profile of the country. The capital city is Bogota. The official languages are Spanish in the entire country, but also English in the islands of San Andres and Providence, and also 68 indigenous languages. The ethnic groups are distributed like this: 49% Mestizo, 37 white, 10% Afro-Colombian, 3.4 Amerindian, etc. So this is the result of these 500 years of history where blacks and Indians and African intermingle to each other. So that's the profile of the ethnic groups in Colombia. The government is unitary presidential constitutional republic. The independence from Spain was declared in 1810 and recognized in 1819. The population today is about 47 million people. The currency is Colombian peso. And the GDP per capita is $10,800, which put the country about number 84 according to the World Bank. This graphic shows basically what is the component of the economy in Colombia. So most people tend to think that it's coffee, but it is not. Actually, 24% is petroleum, 16% coal, 4% gold, 3% flowers, 5% coffee, etc. Geography. So, one of the elements that makes Colombia so complex is the geography, which is characterized by 5 different natural areas. Number one, the Andes, which is actually 3 ranges of mountains that comes from all the way from Ecuador to Venezuela. The Pacific coastal region with Panama and Ecuador. The Caribbean coastal, which is shared with Venezuela and Panama. The plains, or llanos, shared with Venezuela. And the Amazon rainforest. And you know that at the south part of Colombia, there is a piece of land of Colombia where the Amazon River goes. Colombia is one of the mega diverse countries in terms of biodiversity. Colombia is the second most biodiverse country in the world, lagging only after Brazil, considering that Brazil is 10 times bigger. Third is the third one in living species, in first and bird, in fish and bird species. As for plants, the country has between 40,000 and 45,000 plant species, equivalent to about 20% of the global species. Also, in terms of marine fish, about 2,000 species. Is the country with more endemic species in butterflies. Number 1 in terms of orchid. By the way, orchid is the national flower of Colombia. Colombia is the first in number of amphibian species, boasting more than 30% of the world's species. Turtles, 35% and 25% of crocodiles. In sense of technology, there are also areas where Colombia is really aggressive. Colombia has also more than 40,700 research groups in science and technology. The group of research of the University of the Andes, probably the best, the #1 university in Colombia, located in Bogota, led by international renowned scientist Carlos Avila, participated in 2 global projects, including the compact muon solenoid experiment and the Large Hadron Collider. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but these are 2 of the major projects in science global-wide. Let's start by redefining, as I mentioned before, the myth. Colombia is a myth. Let's talk about the past, the present, and the future. Let's start with something that I found really interesting. Colombia comes from, the real meaning of Colombia is the land of Colombo. And Colombo comes from the name of the discoverer of America, Cristoforo Colombo. In Latin, Christophorus Columbus. That's the reason why the country is called like that. There is something even more interesting. In the 18th century, some of you guys, Colombia, Venezuela, you're familiar with Francisco Miranda. Francisco Miranda was one of those guys in the 18th century that was really jumping between America and Europe. He was really influential at many levels in what led to the revolution in South America and led to the independence from Spain. He was the first person promoting the name of Colombia for the southern part of America. So from the beginning, and there is a reason for that, is because Christopher Columbus was the first person to come to America. It was logical that the name of the continent was going to be through his name. The problem is that Christopher Columbus never knew that it was a new continent. He thought that it was India. But the person who really understood that it was a new continent was Amerigo Vespucci. That's why, because of his name, America became America. But he should be named after Christopher Columbus. But interestingly enough, I just realized this. We all know in Colombia, we know the story of the name of Colombia. But I found it really interesting that from the beginning, in the 18th century, in North America, many people thought that Colombia was the proper name for USA, for United States. And for example, probably you know Jonathan Swift. He's no American, he was an Irish writer. Probably you remember a really famous book, The Travels of No. The little guys. Lilliput. The travels of Lilliput. Lilliputians. Exactly. In that book, he named the New World Colombia. So, and at the beginning, the founder fathers at that time, they were already thinking that Colombia was a more poetic name for to name the New World. That's why I put the map of North America, because in North America, they were already thinking. No wonder why the District of Columbia, what is the capital of the United States, is District of Columbia. There is no, one of the best universities in the country, Columbia University, is in New York, and so on and so forth. You are going to find over and over again the name of related to Colombia or in North America at the highest level. So it's really fascinating that while Miranda was thinking to call South America Colombia, in North Americans were thinking to call Colombia also the continent. Let's go a little bit, I'm not going to go too deep, but I think it was interesting. At the beginning, there was actually what is called the Nueva Granada. When the Spaniards came to America, they conquered this region. Actually, there was 3 countries, which was called Nueva Granada because the conquerors that came here were from Granada, Spain. So they called the land Nueva Granada. And this land was conformed by 3 countries, basically Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, and that region in the Yucatan Peninsula that led to having San Andres. I already mentioned that, right? But then, after that, Simón Bolívar, the liberator of these countries, he suggested to change the name from Nueva Granada to La Gran Colombia, which was composed by all those countries. When Bolívar died in 1830, by the way, he was Venezuelan, but he died in Colombia, in Santa Marta. You know that the tomb is in Santa Marta. And because he was the promoter of having this unified country, when he died, the whole project died. And Gran Colombia stopped to be like that, and then is when Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela became independent. And that's the reason why those 3 countries have the same colors of the flag. Okay? Now, there is something interesting about, do you know what is the origin of the colors of the Gran Colombia flag? We all know the story, yellow, blue, and red. We heard the story about the gold and the skies and the blood and all that. It's not like that. It's just Miranda. I mentioned Miranda from Venezuela. He was traveling through the courts in Europe, and he became not only friends but also lover of the Catalin from Russia. Sorry, remember? If you think what are the colors of the Russian flag? It's a little yellow, blue, and red. That's where he brought the idea of the flag for the new world. And was Miranda in his battleship, the first one, do you remember that from history, that he was the first one to use that kind of flag. So that flag became this flag. So if you go to the Russian flag today, it has the same color, just the yellow is light, it's almost white. But it's yellowish, blue, and red. That's the story. The land of Colombia actually is as old as 11,000 years. You all know at the end of the first glacier is when all the people from Asia came to America. So basically, the country is as old as 11,000 years. So since then, there were the development of different groups before Christopher Columbus came to America. And they were basically the Muiscas, Tairona, Quimbaya, Calima. You are going to see later on some details about that. The first cities founded by Europeans were in 1510. Actually, the first city founded in South America was in Colombia, 1510. The first settlement, actually was a real settlement, was in 1525, Santa Marta. Some of you are from the north coast of Colombia. Santa Marta was founded in 1525. Bogota was founded in 1538, so we are talking about our cities are as old as 600 years. Bogota was founded in 1538 because there were European soldiers that were looking for El Dorado. The reason why this country were conquered is because from the first trips from Christopher Columbus, the El Dorado myth was brought to their attention. So they were coming for the legend of El Dorado. A mythic place, a mythic place, it was a lake full of gold and riches, etc. Actually, they didn't find that, but that lake is true, is real, and is located 1 hour north of Bogota. So the lake where this legend comes from. Nueva Granada, as I mentioned before, was at the time was the first source of gold to Spain. You know, Spain was in economical trouble, so Colombia was the major source of gold for the recovery of Spain. I'm going to go briefly through this. I'm not going into much detail. The independence happened in 1819 and 1845. The two parties emerged: the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party. There was conflict, political problems at the time. Civil War in 1899 to 1902, and one important event happened, and this in 1903. Panama was separated from Colombia during the administration of Theodore Roosevelt. So we use the term in Colombia, I took Panama. And you know that this was led by the fact of the global interest to have control over the Panama Canal, which the French 50 years before tried and they failed because it was a really engineering challenge. Finally, the Americans, they said, let's try again. And it was during the administration of Mr. Roosevelt that it was possible. But also they found an opportunity because of the political disarray that was Colombia, all the internal turmoil after the Civil War, it was the perfect moment to take over Panama. And Panama, you know, that changed the global economy because it was the passage to basically the commerce from the old continent to the new continent. This thing is going, it's alive, just moving by itself. Okay, let's jump into further. There is something that I cannot avoid to mention. As much as painful as it has been, we all know why Colombia is associated, and that's part of the myth. It's not real, but it's part of the negative myth that has been created in Colombia, and is the drug commerce. And Colombia, because of that strategic position in the northern, just in the center of between the south and the north, and with the lush forest, where it was possible to process the cocaine and all that, Colombia was the perfect place to become into what it became. Now that's over, and there is something that I want to address. More than anything, Colombia as a nation has been a helpless victim of the gargantuan demand for illegal drugs from the industrialized world. It's true, nobody can say no to this. And had for several decades, from 80s to almost 2000, a little bit more, a devastating effect in the soul, spirit, and emerging at the time development of the country. So Colombia has been in this roller coaster of trying to overcome different political situation, turmoil, and then came this situation, and that really hurt us. We were victims of that. Thousands of civilians died, and judges and policemen. 3 political candidates. One, Luis Carlos Galan, he was going to be president. And because all of them opposed the drug business, and because they were in favor of the extradition, that's why they were here. And that's why the drug lords were in war against the state. It's not like in Mexico, it's totally different. In Mexico, the violence that you see in Mexico is between groups. Here it was them against the state. And they did that because by attacking policemen, by attacking the civilians, the state was going to be against the wall. That's what it is. Now, let's jump to the moment when Álvaro Uribe came on board. It happened like 14 years ago, about. He's 11 years ago. He basically turned over the country. We are back on track, and you are going to see now what is the result of that. Going back to see, you already see that. The country, by the way, despite all the problems that Colombia has had, Colombia has had one of the best records in payment of the international debt. The entire planet, even USA has the biggest debt in the planet. But every single country in the world has a debt. Colombia has a track record of paying the interest, because I think no country can pay actually the debt, but to paying the interest. So I think that has been a well-managed country, and you can see the indicators. You can see 2002 to 2011, the growth of the GDP, the inflation going down, the unemployment going down, the poverty going down. This shows exactly what I was talking about, what has happened that took maybe 10 or 15 years to where we are now. This is by no means a promotion, and this is not for tourists, and this is not to promote you to invest. But you know what? We are all here together, and why not? Go to Colombia, invest in Colombia. Yes, I want to take the opportunity. Yes. And look at this. You see all the reason why. Reasons to invest in Colombia. As I said, I'm not coming here to promote investments, but why not? World-class tourist destination, security conditions, large availability, I'm sorry for that, of qualified labor, country protecting its environment. A country with an investment rate, one of the leading economies in 2050. Sorry for that. One of the new countries with the best investment expectations. Excellent macroeconomic performance, international trade platform, an attractive international market, dynamic growing foreign sector. Fourth, it says that Colombia could be the next Indonesia, Latin America. I put this automatically. Multiple investments in Colombia. Colombia is an American partner. Colombia is a safe country for foreign investment according to economists. And all of this is really happened in the last 3 years. Beat the BRIC. Do you remember what the BRIC is? Brazil, Russia, India, and China? Well, they say the next BRIC. They say basically forget about BRIC. Let's think about Colombia. Latin America hidden investment gem. Record number of Canadian companies investing in Colombia. Politically, this was interesting. Starbucks new plan for Colombia. I don't know if you have heard. Just 2 weeks ago was announced. Starbucks is going to invest in Colombia starting next year. The plan is going to have 50 stores in Colombia. And that's significant. I don't know if you know this. Starbucks is the biggest seller of Colombian coffee in the world. Already. Even not being in Colombia. So they say, finally we are going to sell Colombian coffee in Colombia. Now, some of you are going to say, okay, well, what about Juan Valdez? Some of you may know, oh, Juan Valdez is the Colombian coffee, the Colombian Federation, what's going on? I'm going to say this. I love coffee, I love Starbucks. And I was really happy when Juan Valdez started their first store in New York. And it was a nice, in a big corner, Juan Valdez in New York, close to 42nd Street, whatever. And then in front, it was a really small Starbucks. Let me tell you something. The Juan Valdez was empty, kind of not well organized. The Starbucks across the street was little, but was full. I said, there is something that Juan Valdez, those guys, I'm sorry, it's my country, but it's what it is. And the fact that Starbucks is going there is because they found the opportunity. So instead of me thinking that it's not going to be good, it's going to be good. Because then Juan Valdez is going to step up and do better. And I think I went to Colombia too, like 1 month ago, and I was really surprised because there is a culture of coffee here in North America, just unbelievable. Some of you may not like Starbucks, it doesn't matter, but there's a culture in USA. The best coffee is drunk here. The best Colombian coffee, I learned here, not in Colombia. Here, I drank the best Colombian coffee here in North America. It's the best coffee, it's unbelievable. And you all know that Colombian coffee is regarded as one of the smoothest and one of the best in the world. Okay? And it's the second exporter after Brazil. So, multiple reasons why we need to invest. You guys need to invest in Colombia. Okay, but behind the myth and behind that, there is people. Nothing is built without the people. But I tend to talk about history, because without history, if we know history, we understand where we are. If we don't, we ignore it, keep making the same mistakes, right? Okay, don't worry, I hope that you are still awake. It will take me just 5 minutes. I found that it was a good opportunity to share all this with you. Okay, let's go back a little bit, like several thousand years ago, Pre-Columbian era. Don't worry, I'm going to go fast. Basically, this map is going to show where the major ancient cultures emerged. I already mentioned in the previous slide, and you'll see all of that. Okay, and you're going to see, I'm going to go really fast in the manifestation of all of them, because who we are, what we do, right? in a way, what we do define what we are, or what we are, our legacy is based on what we do, right? And especially whichever we have, whichever testimony global-wide, is based on art, artifacts, architecture, right? So you're going to see that. Tumaco, this is fascinating. Some of these figures look like from Egypt. No, this is Tumaco. This is South Colombia, in Nariño. Beautiful pieces, really highly sophisticated group. They were, look, 2,300 to 600 before Christ. We are talking about 4,000 years ago. That's civilization. I don't know if you know, China is 6,000 years old civilization. The Sumerians, where Iraq is today, is 5,000 years civilization. These guys were 4,000 years ago. Huizca in the center I'm from Bogota, so it's in the center, and I cannot avoid to mention the mythical El Dorado. And El Dorado is here. That's the lake. It's not a lake. It's a lagoon actually. It's really small. And you see that hole in it's round. It's almost round. And you see that there is a snitch. There's a hole there. The Spaniards made that because they were looking for El Dorado. And the myth is that there is I don't know why it doesn't appear in my presentation, but there is a little piece in the Gold Museum in Bogota, which, by the way, is the biggest museum of gold in the world. There are millions of pieces, like in other places. Like the museum, the Golden Museum in Bogota. Well, there is this piece represents El Dorado, and El Dorado was the king of that land in central Colombia, and basically they had a ritual every month, and he was the king. He was covered with golden dust, and they offered to the gods, the moon and the sun. They offered jewels and emeralds, and that's why the myth of El Dorado, because it was happening over the years. So the myth was that lagoon was full of emeralds and gold and all of that, and that's why the Spaniards were so rushing to come to find all those riches. They found them not in the lake, everywhere in the country, but that's. So if someone had the doubt about what El Dorado was and where it was located, it was there, like 60 minutes from Bogota. Another culture, Ibayan, beautiful pieces. Tayrona in the north, close to Santa Marta, and Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada this is the tallest mountain in the world that is just close to the ocean. There is no other place like that. It's about 5,000 meters above sea level, and it's just there. So from the top you can see the ocean. It's really unique, very unique. So in this mountain, there was a culture like that. I don't know if you remind. I cannot compare this with Machu Picchu, but hey, it's just there. And all of these terraces are even though that's complex or as big as Machu Picchu, with due respect for Pilar. I'm not comparing, but I'm saying that many people in many countries were thinking the same, and there was a lot of development in terms of roads, in terms of stability of the land. So it's technology that was developed 3,000 years ago. San Agustin, this is unique. This is one of the few places, I mean in South America, where other than Mexico, here are Mexican persons here, Olmeca. Yeah, the Olmeca, right? Those big heads, the Olmeca was the ancient civilization in Mexico was the Olmecas. All those giant heads, beautiful. Well, in Colombia, where you can find massive pieces of art of sculpture is in San Agustin. Mythical, and it was related to tombs and all of it. Actually, there were tombs. You see 1,000, between 1,000 before Christ to 1,300 and AD. And also in the same region, gold, because gold was everywhere. So there is almost no culture in Colombia where the gold was not present and where there are no artifacts of gold. And there is also something very interesting, and it's a kind of vaults. It was inside the land, and beautifully crafted and painted, and it's called Tierra Adentro. It's not so far from San Agustin. Okay, this is the end of this brief. Are you tired? Just 5 more minutes. After 300 years of Spanish domination, independent movement emerged. I already mentioned Bolivar and all of that, and after 1819. I wanted to show here two key figures in the history of Colombia. One was Antonio Nariño. Antonio Nariño was as strong and as visionary as Miranda. You're already familiar with Francisco Miranda. I mentioned Miranda for the flag, Miranda for the name of Colombia, Francisco Miranda from Venezuela. Well, the Francisco Miranda in Colombia was Antonio Nariño. And Antonio Nariño, about 10 years ago, was declared the Colombian of all time. He was born in Bogota, and he died in Villa de Leyva, and he was in jail in Spain because he was part of the movement that led to the revolution and to the independence. So he was a criminal for the Spaniards, but he was not. And he was, along with Miranda, the one who brought from France the translation from France to Spanish of the Declaration of the Rights, of the man's rights. You know what I'm talking about? Man's rights, which is the basis for the French Revolution. And the French Revolution was shed light to the revolution here in America to get independent from Spain. Is that important? And the other one was Francisco Jose Caldas. He was a scientist. So I decided to jump from them to the present. And now you are going to see some familiar faces. I don't know if some of you know about him. Raise your hand who knows who Gabriel Garcia Marquez is. Okay, it's about 20%. Okay, interesting. Okay, probably you don't know him, but he he was born in 1927. He was a journalist in Bogota, and then he was a writer of short stories. And then in 1982, he was awarded with the Nobel Prize for Literature. But actually, his major book, there are samples in the back, is 100 Years of Solitude. It's considered one of the major pieces of literature ever written. And as a matter of fact, is the most translated book from Spanish language ever, according to UNESCO. Very interesting. And I put samples here, of all the translations in different languages. You can find, of course, English, Indian, Japanese, Chinese, Hindi, Russian, etc. So it was translated about 60 different languages, for which it is relevant. But I believe that is relevant in the sense that he, along with other writers in the 70s, he invented the concept of magic realism, for which you are familiar with that. Yes, sir.
I would suggest that Love in the Town of Cholera is his greatest book.
Okay, good. It's just there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great book.
It's rated R.
Yeah,
There's a movie, but the book just shows his genius.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There is no question. There is no question about that. Thank you very much for that. And that's the reason why. I put that book as part of the list. It's multiple other books. But now that you, probably not you, but several others are interested in this, you know what is really genius about him? The short stories. The short stories are just phenomenal. And that's the basis for Macondo. That's the basis for that magical world that he created in 100 Years of Solitude. If you have the chance, look for short stories from Gabriel Garcia Marquez, just unbelievable. And some other short novels, because he didn't want the novel for the 100 Years of Solitude. Actually, it was for the colonel doesn't have to write him whatever, I don't know how to translate to English. The colonel.
No one writes to the colonel.
No one writes to the colonel. That's a masterpiece. It has kind of a little story. It's not short story, but it's between short story and novel. And just as genius, that piece is as genius as The Old Man and the Sea.
Yes.
Just that level of genius. Just short, strong, powerful, compelling, and telling an amazing story. Okay, second. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and then I mentioned here, I got a list. Here is where of all the 50, according to UNESCO, the 50 more translated writers of all time. He's number 48. He's not at the top, but he's the only one from the Spanish language. And you see, for example, you see Platon, Edgar Allan Poe, Kipling, Perrault, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So he's in the company of giants. Okay. I mean, if you're familiar with him, Fernando Botero. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Who are familiar with Botero? Yes, now he's like 42%. Now it's better. Fernando Botero. And if you don't know him, his face, you have seen his bold, beautiful, giant figures, right? You see that. And basically, I put some of the most representative pieces from him, but also I put this on purpose. I don't know who can recognize this city. What city is this? Florence. What is this city? Paris. This is the Arch of Triumph. So he has had these pieces in public places, in New York, in Park Avenue. You have been in New York, Park Avenue, is in Spain, in Paris, in Italy, all over the world. So he has been really make a big name about himself. He has made several awards, but for me the biggest contribution, his biggest contribution has been that he donated about 200 of his pieces to what is today the Botero Museum in Medellin. And also, he donated, this is even more important, I went to Bogota, I mentioned like a month ago, and there is a collection. The central bank is Banco de la República, the Republic Bank. You know, it's like the central bank. And they sponsor culture. And they have one of the biggest art collection in the country, I would say in Latin America. Botero, he donated his personal collection, really nice collection of European art. And you see big names like Chagall and Picasso and Dali, etc., etc. From his collection, he donated to this bank, so you can see them. So I felt like, oh my God, it's like being in New York, in the museum, that's Bogota. And the building is so beautiful. Whenever you have the chance to go to Bogota, you need to see that. You need to go there. Botero. Salmona, he's an architect, well-renowned architect, and I put some examples here. Why I love this guy? Because of the extensive use of something that is primordial in Colombia, and is the brick. Is how do you call that? The brick made of clay, right? Adobe. Yeah, yes. Well, it's more. Well, let's say adobe. It's the same. It's brick, similar to the houses here in Franklin. Very similar to that. But it's is how the houses are built in Colombia for the most part, for generations. So what it was interesting about him is that to build buildings, and we're talking about 30 or 40 tall story buildings. So that was unique. Never do that before, and with shapes like this. So that was really amazing about Rogelio Salmona. And this is part of he died like 2 years ago, last year actually. And he was committed to build what probably was the major project to build public libraries in Latin America. There will be like 6 major like this size in Bogota, like in order, but just like this, in just a few years. So he was involved with the design of the, and this is one of them, just beautiful and just mind-bending. Julio Garavito, there is a mistake, spelling, an A is missing. Why I mentioned this guy? He was a mathematician, an engineer, and an astronomer. And because of what he was doing at the time, it was in 19th century, there is a crater in the moon to his name, Garavito. No, he's in the far side of the moon. But, hey, his name is in the moon. I don't know, Campo, this is a very interesting lady. Is not like Garavito, he's dead like 100 years ago. She's still active, and she's an astronomer, planetary geologist, born in 1957, is manager, a science program manager for NASA, and he's responsible for 2 major missions, one to go to Jupiter, and one to go to Pluto, and another not directly involved with the mission Venus Express. That's just absolutely remarkable. Here she is. Jorge Reynolds. You will not believe me this, and when I was checking my research, I knew that he was relevant. He was the inventor of the pacemaker in 1958. So the inventor of the pacemaker, it was a 99 pounds behemoth, and that used a car battery, but it worked, because basically he invented that for the people who were traveling. So people who were trying needed something, to solve the problem. So he invented that. He was an electrical mechanical engineer, graduated in Cambridge, in Trinity College, and basically invented the now he has the nano pacemaker. Remarkable. Rodolfo Ginás, PhD, neuroscientist, electrical and biomedical engineer from Bogota, Javeriana, etc. And he has been involved in a number of really state-of-the-art concepts in terms of the brain. Who doesn't know? She. Exactly. So everyone knows her, right? I think everybody knows Shakira. There is someone who doesn't know Shakira? No, I know. Okay, well, she's Colombian. She's from Barranquilla, 1977. She's about 30, so she's really young, bright girl. When I was making this investigation, I was really surprised about his. And if you think that is because if you think that is because she sold 70 million albums, 50 million singles, of course, I couldn't avoid to bring her as well. Okay, 50 million singles, 10 million in USA, which are records. So she has, because of this, she has a star in the Hall of Fame, in the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. So that's an achievement. And she is only 36. Okay. But other than that, songwriter, record producer, dancer, he plays instrument, etc. What really, really surprised me is what she had been doing at that age, at the level of the philanthropy level. She founded Pies Descalzos Foundation. She is a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. She has been making contribution to the Clinton Global Initiative. She has been all over the place. As a matter of fact, President Obama, this administration, she invited her to be part of a national campaign for education for Latin young people. 36, remarkable lady. Okay, I'm not going to ask the question again. You all know her. I think some of you know her. Sofia Vergara, Barranquilla as well. This is very interesting. There are several ladies here from northern part of Colombia. Angela, Marta, where is Marta? Marta, you are from Barranquilla, right? Barranquilla. Okay, you see, they are from Barranquilla. There is no coincidence. Let me see. A lot of ladies, not so many men. Okay, you know her, the actress, TV, Modern Family, several movies. It's interesting, I found that a lot of 20s. You see, 20 films, 20 TV shows, 20 nominations, but hey, she got 20 nominations and she got some awards. Paul Montoya, I don't know if some of you know him, car driver, Formula One, now he's in NASCAR. He is here since 2006 and NASCAR driver. Thank you very much.